Afternoon all, how are we doing? Good afternoon. Well, that was a big move on the Canadian dollar, wasn't it? Pound's going absolutely crazy today as well. Super moves on the pound off of the news this morning, but it is starting to pull back now. So just had a reverse alert on pound odd finally. So we've just had that starting to drop. So that looks like a good short. Morning, David. Afternoon, even. Philip, afternoon. So yeah, all these pound pairs, really good mean reversion opportunities here. Pound odd, especially because it's up at nearly 200 ADR on that. Starting to come down nicely now. Pound CAD, we got weak CAD, so be a bit careful with that one. But I mean, it's a massive propulsion gap to aim for. Pound Swiss, that one's just had a reverse alert at 125. Pound yen, that one's just about to get a reversal alert. Pound New Zealand, just about to get one as well. Pound New Zealand, we looked at this morning, remember? Those two levels. Where's my pen gone? I've restarted my machine, haven't I? Forgot. So yeah, pound New Zealand, we looked at these two levels. That being your initial entry. If that doesn't work, second entry up here, this area. So that looks very nice now, nicely extended on the 4 hour. And pound US dollar, which is also coming down nicely on M5. Just had a reverse alert on that. Nice big propulsion gap to aim for. So yeah, all looking good, all these pound reversions. Euro pound, we've had a nice reversal alert on that, just off of 200 ADR. Didn't quite get to it, but nice one there. Again, look to play it back up into here. Euro New Zealand as well is also extended. That one was an ADR high hit. That's already played out. That's one we looked at this morning. Anybody take that this morning? That we didn't get a reverse alert on it, remember, because it was all the way down here. Or was it down there? No, actually, it was second peak, wasn't it? So it's there. It was there. That was your reversal alert on it. M pattern. Very nice. And Aussie New Zealand was the other one, wasn't it? We looked at this morning. So that is still extended. Just had a reverse alert on that one. So all good opportunities on those pounds. Everything RSI wise, as you can see, pound extended massively on the hourlies, of course, because we've just had ADR hits on all of them. Pound yen, pound New Zealand, and pound CAD, all our RSI extensions. Euro pound RSI extension as well. The only ones we've got which are not pound related are the yens. So the Swiss yen is extended on the hourly and the 4 hourly to the upside. So potential good short opportunity there. It's only just got extended. These yens are really weak at the moment. CAD yen, obviously we're going to get some movement on that one. Probably got a reversal out on that. Not quite. So yeah, CAD is obviously weak. So the CPI figures came out as very mixed for the Canadian dollar. So the month on month was down 0.2. The yearly was up 0.1. The trimmed was down 0.1. So it's a completely mixed bag. Retail sales were pretty badly down on the core retail. So overall, it was all negative Canadian dollar, but only ever so slightly. So I would kind of say it's a bit of a neutral news event, really. It hasn't really gone, oh my God, that's a massive plus or a massive minus. So read it either way on that. 2:45, we've got the PMIs for the US dollar. So obviously the market opens in 3 minutes. And then 15 minutes afterwards, we've got the PMIs. So I should be trading the 5, 10, 15, not the pre-market opening range today. Don't trust the pre-market because I think we might have a fairly quiet open, but we'll see. So I'm just going to watch the Dow, watch the NASDAQ as well. But loads of opportunities on those pounds. The pound is very much short across the board. Yeah, all the GBP pairs are all negatives, some more than others. So if we get a positive US dollar news event on the PMIs, that pound US dollar that's massively extended, we could see a really nice reversal on that. So that pound US dollar up at a 100 ADR got an opportunity for a very fast move back down on the PMIs, but we'll see. See what happens. They're coming out at 245, and then we've got home sales as well. No other news this morning, really, to look at. It was all about the CAD, all about the CPI. That was 25 basis points. Oh, hang on, didn't see this. Russia considers banning fuel cells under the price cap. Oh. I wonder if that's had an impact on oil. No. Right, so going to watch the DAX and the Dow and see where we go at the open. Afternoon, Brian. David Diamond. Pound New Zealand did me dirty. Depends what you're doing. I still like that as a nice short. It's in a really good spot now. Really good spot. So you got this other level up here. 50 basis point hike on the pound. Sorry, on the euro. It's coming as a forecast. Traders fully priced 50 basis point ECB rate hike in March for the first time. Which traders? I've been talking about that for about a month. So is Lagarde. Do you mean all the traders that are miles behind everybody else are now going, oh, they're going to go up by 0.5%? Lagarde's been saying that for months. I don't know what you're on about. So I love it when they say traders. Who? What are you talking about? Me? Them? Everyone watching the stream? Got that double top. So there is potential for a little bit more of a push on this, but that area there was the main area I was looking at for this morning, and that's been exceeded. So nicely extended on the 4 hour, pull back into that 4 hour mean reversion in the 4 hour propulsion gap. Okay, market is open. So let's have a look at the NASDAQ as well. So your pre-market 15 is here. So if you're playing the pre-market breakout, you're long. If you're playing it on the NASDAQ, you're not anywhere. But the Dow is going for it on the pre-market open. I don't think we're going to, I don't know, we might get a massive move, I don't know, but with that news coming up, the PMI coming up in 15 minutes, I doubt we're going to get anything particularly strong today, but we'll see. 15 minutes, I reckon. After the first 15 minutes, we'll get some movement. Well, we know we'll get some movement because the PMIs are coming out, so it's going to move regardless. NASDAQ looks like it wants to go short. Hasn't managed to break out the lows yet, though. We are just down at the Globex lows at the moment, which seems to be getting bought up a little bit, but just wait for this range to go in and see where we go after this. I'm hoping we're just going to get a really nice inside bar play, a little bit like we did this morning. I think it'll probably might well wick out at the open of the first 5 minutes, and then we'll get that move, but we'll see. It'd be nice if we can get some inside bars. Now that I've switched over to the Dow, obviously it'll go absolutely mental on the NASDAQ today. Always seems to pick the pair that I'm not on, doesn't it? David, yeah, news in 15. So the news we've got coming up in 15 minutes is the PMIs. PMIs, we get more negatives than positives. Well, we have recently on these PMIs. Yeah, the last year or so has been There's a lot more negative PMI figures coming out, but we'll see. We'd like a positive because that'll give everything a nice push again. Banked some retail sentiment this morning, $278. Got 600 and something running in profit as well on all the sentiment trades. Pound Swiss is the only one that's gone into drawdown. But obviously that's on the pound news. Obviously sentiment has nothing to do with news. Sentiment will just get run over when there's a news event. Okay, got 1.5 minutes left. So Nasdaq's pushed out the lows and is now pushing out the highs. Decent move. So did anybody take the pre-market? If you took the pre-market, you got a nice 1-to-1 there. Watch that area for sells. That's the 1-to-1. 1.5 would be how much is it? 60. So 90. So that'll be your 1.5 hour there. Brave if you took the pre-market today with the news, but it worked nicely. So the sellers are stepping in that propulsion move. Nasdaq's struggling to get across the highs as well. So is the S&P. Although the S&P has just managed to do it. Okay, so there's your 5-minute opening range in. So that's what I'm playing. I'm playing the 5, 10, 15. That's a big old opening range on the Dow. Nasdaq's pushing out the highs. Just want to see what that pound is doing. US dollar CAD. Okay, so the CAD's strengthening up a little bit at the open by the looks of things as well. Oh no, maybe not. That's US dollar actually weakening. CAD. Yeah, not really doing anything, is it? Just a quick look at the sentiment. Okay, so US dollar, long US dollar Swiss, short US dollar CAD. It's quite mixed US dollar sentiment running into this news. So got a bit of divergence on the Nasdaq and the Dow. So the Dow's pulling back, the Nasdaq's pushing. One of those will give up the ghost. So what's everybody's thoughts on the PMIs? Long or short? I've got a good feeling. We've had really good news on the US dollar over the last week, couple of weeks. Everything's been very positive. So I've got a feeling today we're going to get some positive PMIs as well, which will drive the US dollar. So I'm kind of hoping for a drop on the Dow. If we have a look at the potential moves today. So we're right down at the lows of yesterday at the moment. with the Dow. So we've just had this big arc we've put in so far. Overall, obviously, we've been bearish for a few days now. So there's a good chance that that might get bought up. But if we break that level there, there's a long kind of drop down to ADR today for the Dow. That's pretty much the next support coming in there. Failing that, obviously, much deeper drop. But we are basically running down at the moment. So if that support breaks, we've got a very nice run south. So if we get strength in the US dollar, that should hopefully drive the indices down. And if we can get that, you've got a good ADR run today. Looking at the NASDAQ, similar sort of story. We're sitting in this propulsion gap at the moment on the NASDAQ, which has been bought up twice now. This is the third time. So these sellers are very, very relentless at the moment. 175 ADR. You've got this accumulation here at the bottom of the propulsion gap, which again is around ADR. So both indices really potential for an ADR hit today if we get a strong US dollar. So you've got a good run down, 160 points there. About 240 points on the Dow. So lots of room. We'll see what happens when the news comes out. Got 6 minutes to the news. Has anybody got any pairs they want to look at? I'm not going to go through all the pairs again because I went through most of the pairs this morning that we had bias on. Obviously, I've just quickly run through all the ADRs. It's pretty obvious what opportunities are out there today on the ADRs. It's all the pounds, basically. So, and with the RSIs, again, it's all pound based and a few yen based. So yen, if you're interested in the yens, they are extended, ready for a yen push. If you want to get into them, I'm just really not that interested in the yens at the moment. I am going to get into some probably, but they're a bit, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the yen intervention. So these are all in good spots at the moment, but the only ones that are in good spots are the ones which are pretty strong, which is the CAD and the US. I want the pound up there extended, but the pound, oh yeah, sorry, the pound is extended, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Egypt. So yeah, pound yen is probably one of the better ones today. Very nice extended. So we're back up in the propulsion gap now. For a rundown. Okay, 10-minute range is in. We're an inside bar. So your sentiment, I fixed this by the way now. So you can now select this and you can actually select it and it works. So the only sentiment you've got in line with COT at the moment is all longs, which is Euro odd, Euro CAD. So same as this morning really, Euro odd. That's rallied nicely, big drop, then it rallied nicely. Euro CAD, that's obviously gone based on the CAD weakness. So those two were good longs. US dollar CAD, US dollar yen, and Euro yen. US dollar CAD, obviously, we know has gone on the CAD weakness. US dollar yen, that's pushed up as well, and the Euro yen. It's kind of had a rally and then a drop and then a rally again. So potentially going to take that high out, I would imagine. So all the sentiment trades this morning, all doing okay. I haven't got into all of them because they haven't hit yesterday's highs or lows yet. But okay, we've got 2.5, 3 minutes to the news. So let's hope for a decent move. Let's gold up to. Gold's having a nice rally today. Sentiment on the gold is a short. So the market is long gold at the moment. So liquidity is there and there. So if we get that strength in the US dollar on the PMIs, run down to previous day's low, which is there, is potentially on the cards today. Okay, 2 minutes to go. Tomorrow as well, if you've got any Aussie on or New Zealand on, obviously bear in mind tomorrow morning we're expecting that rate announcement. So you're going to wake up to some very nice profit or some very big drawdown tomorrow morning, depending on which way you are on the Aussie and New Zealand, which way that goes. We've got the New Zealand press conference as well, so we'll get an idea what they're going to be planning to do with the New Zealand dollar moving forward. So that's all coming out overnight tonight, so you need to be aware of that if you've got any Aussie or New Zealand exposure on. What I usually do, if anything is sitting in profit on those, I either bank it or at least protect it with a break-even stop. Because if it goes the opposite way to the way you want it to go, obviously, it's better to break even and then take another position rather than just going to draw down on the position. Or better still bank it if you've got like 0.25% or something on anything. Aussie, New Zealand, just get it banked before the end of the day today. Okay, 30 seconds to go. Should we put the news on? Okay, so forecast is 47.3.
10 seconds.
Whoa. Gap. 47.8.
47.8, 47.8, higher than the forecast of 47.4. Services PMI 50.5, 50.5, higher than the forecast of.
Okay, all positive US. So let's see if we get that push down now on the indices. US dollar's pushing. Oh, struggling. Need to get that little gap filled. There we go. Okay, so more positive news for the US dollar again. So everything going the right way for the US dollar at the moment. Just want to be looking everything long US dollar. So buying every pullback, any RSI extensions you get. So pound US dollar, for example, extended on the upside, want to be taking shorts on that. Anything against the US dollar, you want to be shorting. Anything US dollar against anything, you want to be longing. Nice strong US dollar moving forward. Next batch of news we've got for the US dollar is FOMC tomorrow. So as long as that is not talked down tomorrow and we get positive vibes coming out of that, we should get more positive movement on the US dollar tomorrow evening, and then obviously straight into GDP on Thursday. So good strong moves for the US. Should see some ADRs on that hopefully today. Okay, so we are starting to push. If we get out of these lows, we should get a little pop down there. Afternoon, Big Papa. Forex Factory needs a confetti explosion or something when you hit the green button. Yeah. What, when it updates, finally? Yeah. That's good. Okay, so I'm short the Dow. Not a massive amount of movement off of this PMI. seems very jittery at the minute. There's a lot of orders going in, but no actual direction. I think we're just waiting for a breakout, and then we're basically waiting for some orders to get to puke to help this on its way. If it can, maybe it's not going to make it today, but they're buying up the lows a lot. So this Dow, we're stuck down at the lows, remember, at the minute. Yeah, so this is basically limit orders triggering off of this low. This is what we're seeing here. This constant movement is limit order, limit order, limit order. Eventually, those limits will either win or they'll give up, they'll puke and become sellers, and it will drop fast. There we go. All right, so we need to hold this level now. There we go. There's all the orders puking. Bop. There we go. Missed the GU short entry. Nice close inside the hourly Bollinger Band. You're trading that Bollinger Band thing, are you? Bollinger Bands. Yeah, there you go. So there's your Bollinger Band entry on the hourly. Yeah, close outside, close outside, close outside, close outside, close inside short. You're selling straight into that support, but don't seem to be getting a massive amount of strength off of this US dollar. It's struggling, really struggling. US dollar CAD's popping. That's because we've got a weak CAD as well. So if we look at something like the Swiss. Yeah, no, it's moving. We got a very strong. This pound is really strong today. It like that news. Really like that news. Look at the pound go. Jeez. So that pound is off of the PMIs this morning. So we got positive PMIs on the pound as well across the board, which has really strengthened the pound. Seems like it might want to follow through on that. We'll see. So I'm waiting for this NASDAQ to break down. If the NASDAQ can break this low and go as well, we should get a follow through on the Dow and a good run down. But it looks nice and heavy at the moment for sure. So there's your 15-minute breakout. The downside. Bollinger Band seems to be the theme of the day. Yeah. But you know, like you just like Big Papa just said on the hourly, yeah. If you could call that a Bollinger Band reversion, or you could go it's a mean reversion or RSI. It's the same thing. They're going to tell you the same thing. You're going to get similar sort of entries on them. Pick one. If you don't want to use the RSI, use the Bollinger Bands. Anything that tells you that market is exhausted is a good condition indicator for a profit take. I just like the RSI, but Bollinger Bands work as well. US dollar yen. So US dollar yen just coming up into resistance. Obviously, it's a long at the moment because of the PMI news, so I wouldn't want to short that right now. The next support resistance level is kind of anywhere up there, really. So we're trading into this propulsion gap at the moment, which was caused by the news intervention. So it could stop there, but I think US dollar, with the strength that we're getting at the moment, as long as we get decent figures tomorrow and FOMC is talked up, we've got a pretty good movement to the upside, I reckon, on that tomorrow. So look for any pullbacks on it, really. Drop down to M5. Any pullbacks along it. NASDAQ's struggling. Dow is struggling as well. They kind of want to take it short, don't they? But they're running out of steam. But there's a lot of ticks going on at the minute to the downside, but we're not actually getting any progress. So when you hear a lot of downside ticks on tick strike, if we do hear it tick in a minute, and you see no market movement, that means the sellers are getting exhausted. If it's constantly ticking, see, this is bulls coming in now. Click on the bulls. Lots of them. So if you hear lots of bearish ticks coming through, and all it's doing is just like running down, pulling up, running down, pulling up, running down, just basically means that all of those orders are getting absorbed by buyers, and eventually those sellers will stop selling, and as soon as they stop selling, they'll become buyers and will pop to the upside. So it doesn't sound particularly good for a short at the moment, to be honest. Nasdaq's not able to make new lows. Dow's getting stuck as well. Turn off. Clickers from The Last of Us. Yeah, I've been playing The Last of Us this morning, actually. Oh, actually, playing The Last of Us 2. But anyway. Ahead of New Zealand dollar news, you said to bank or break even a profitable setup. If you're in DD, what would you do? Would you do the same or leave it? If you're in drawdown, you're in drawdown. So nothing you can do with that. But any positions you've got in profit on New Zealand pairs. So if you've got, so for example, I've got a New Zealand US dollar short. Yeah. So if this is sitting in $300, $200 of profit at end of day, I will bank it. Or the other thing you can do is just break even it. And then either you're going to get a break even or you're going to get the news go your way and you're going to get a big win. Up to you. Is the sentiment on the site updating now? Yeah, it's always been updating. Updates every hour. 157's last update. So basically just bank it, but if you've got something in drawdown, so let's say that pound Swiss was my New Zealand dollar trade, it's in drawdown. There's nothing I can do. So I'll be adding to that. So if it goes further into drawdown, I will scale out of some of it and then add another position and get out when it pulls back. Okay. So the Dow's held that low. The Nasdaq also hasn't gone any lower, but it seems a little bit stuck at the minute. But I would, yeah, I mean, anything you've got, if you're in drawdown, there's two things you can do. It depends how many positions you've got on. If you've got multiple positions on, so if you're in something like New Zealand dollar CAD at the moment, which is obviously moving because of the New Zealand, but if you're, yeah, I mean, if you'd have bought that, you'd be in profit, wouldn't you? There's nothing. Trying to find something that you might be in. That's in profit. That would be in profit. I mean, there's no New Zealand. I mean, if you're longing New Zealand, you're in profit on everything. You shouldn't be in drawdown on anything New Zealand at the moment because it's just been going sideways. So you've always got an opportunity to get out of everything long there, long from there. So if you were long there, you'd be out there. If you weren't out there, you were long there on those two. So yeah, there's nothing. You shouldn't be in drawdown on New Zealand at the moment. Oh, you're on pound New Zealand. All right, yeah. If you're on pound New Zealand, then yes, you are in drawdown. So yeah, so pound New Zealand, depending on how many positions you've got on, depends when you entered. I mean, that if you're in short from there, you're out. So if you're in short from there, you should be out. If you're in short from there, you're in drawdown. So if you've got a position on from there, and you're taking another position there, you might have an out on that by end of day. It's up to you whether or not you want to get out at break even or whether you go for a strong New Zealand dollar move to the downside. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's down to you, really. I mean, I'm happy, like I say, I'm happy to go into 2 or 3% drawdown on an individual currency or 5 positions. And if the news spikes, the news spikes. Don't forget, you're only going to go one ADR. You've only got one entry. All right, 193.827. So you're short there with one entry. Oh well, you're only in one. You're not even quarter, not even 0.5% in drawdown, are you? So yeah, just in. You're just in, aren't you? But up to you. You can shut it out with a loss or ride it. If you're only in one position, it's not going to be difficult to get out of that, is it? It's extended already. So let's say, for example, the New Zealand tanks on the news, and this pumps an ADR. So if this pumps an ADR from where it depends where it finishes, but let's say it finishes where it is. If it pumps an ADR, you're going to be somewhere up there. So you'll have one position on here. You'll have a second position, which you'll get into on some kind of reversal there, and an ADR away. So this is going to be like that. Yeah, it will pull back before it pops. So if this pumps from here, you'll get a pullback before it pops. There you can get out if you want to. So I'd just ride it. I mean, this is the trouble. You can't tell what's going to happen on news. The news could. It's unlikely we won't get strong New Zealand dollar. So if they come out with 4.75, the New Zealand dollar will probably pump. So what I would say is if you're in like 0.1 drawdown on that pound New Zealand before the end of today, close it and take the loss because it's highly likely the New Zealand dollar is going to push. Home sales are out for the US. Missed by 0.1. So it's highly likely we're going to get a push. So, if you're sitting here, if you're in here and by the end of the day it's sitting here, I'd probably take a loss, to be honest, because I would expect that to go up. Yeah. I would expect, New Zealand dollar to be strong. So the pound to come down against the New Zealand dollar. Yeah, you're short on it, aren't you? So what am I talking about? I'm expecting the New Zealand dollar to pump. So yeah, you'd be looking at that to drop. Ignore me. This is the drugs talking still. I'm still in immense pain and not concentrating properly. When the New Zealand dollar has already priced in the rate hike. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but we're not interested in the rate hike, are we? That's going to come out at 4.7. If that comes out at 4.75, we'll get a pop, right? That is what is going to move the market. Yeah. The monetary policy statement and the press conference. This is forward guidance. So this is right. We've priced in the rate to where we are, 4.75. If that comes out at 4.75, check, job done. For the last 2 months, I've been making money perfectly. If the rate statement now comes out and says, looking at inflation and our current unemployment levels, it seems that we are going to need to increase our rates further. So we foresee at least another 0.25 to 0.5 rate hike over the next 2 to 3 months. Then we'll get a further pop. If they say 4.75 looks like it's our terminal rate, we're getting on top of everything, it'll dump. So this is the most important part, the rate statement and the press conference, because this gives forward guidance. So what the market wants to know now is, excellent, well done, you've done your job, you got us to where we thought we were, where are we going next? That's what they're interested in. And that's what we'll have 2 a.m. So that should come down. I think you'll probably find this will likely come down anyway before the news. Nasdaq's broken the lows. Dow should have broken as well. I'm not watching the Dow. I should have it on my other monitor, shouldn't I, really? Monitor your trades. Yeah. So yeah, Dow's broken to the downside nicely. So we're out of the lows. So we need to see if we can make that move now. Gosh, it's a long way to go. You've got to come out quite a fair old whack to get to ADR, haven't you? So that low there, this high here. So somewhere in that region, I would expect to find buyers, which is just about ADR. I'll move that TP up ever so slightly. I keep switching accounts. So I'm just going to move that up. Because that's where I'd like to take TP if we can get down there. But yeah, in New Zealand, you just got to be a bit careful with it this evening. If the trouble with the New Zealand is obviously with the rates having frozen last time, there is a possibility they won't go 0.5%, which is what they forecast. They might go 0.25 and just go to 4.25. If they go to 4.25 tomorrow, we will have a drop in the New Zealand, which means the pound New Zealand, for example, will fly up. The market's priced that in. If the market doesn't get that, it's not going to be happy. So I don't think they will, though. If you look at the history with New Zealand rates, the vast majority of the time they do what they say. We've had one instance there in April, and one instance there in August 21, where we didn't do as we said. The rest of the time they have. And the fact that they missed last time, they basically froze. I think there's a very good chance of that 0.5%. I don't think we'll have a problem getting that. Just turn my volume down. Okay, so just going to write that down. Anybody got any other pairs they want to have a look at? Oil. I missed an opportunity to get into oil this morning. I'm still undecided on this. I really am undecided on this. I keep umming and ahhing about getting in. I was umming and ahhing about getting in on this extension here when we came, because this was the level that I was looking to get in at. We came down to it, but we came down to it with such a force and slammed through. I bottled it and didn't take it, which would have actually been a good trade. We've just pulled back. So it looks to me like this might be a good entry on oil, but if you actually look at it, it's not very strong. So this is the pullback. We took out yesterday's low, swept that liquidity and pushed up, then rallied. And since we've rallied, we've pulled back. But look at the wicks. It's really wicky. It just doesn't, the price action doesn't look very good on this. We've got oil inventories tomorrow at 3:30. So I'm going to sit sideways on oil at the moment. I'm not really sure what to do with it. I kind of want to long it because I still think we're going to be heading back up from where we are. We are now moving up nicely. So I like this for 985 a barrel easily. But I'm just worried. Every time we seem to make any headway on this, we get a catastrophic drop. And with what Russia have just said this morning on oil about potentially not selling to sources, wherever it was, not selling for anybody that is wanting to buy under the price cap, we might find that restricts the supply, which in theory would drive oil prices up. But just don't like it when we got news. I'm not that confident with oil, because there's a lot of stuff that affects it. So when we get news about it, I'm a little bit want to sit to the sidelines a little bit. But I like it where it is. If you look at the market structure on this at the moment, it's contracting very nicely, and we have double bottoms. So we got the high, a higher low, higher high, double bottom, lower high, higher low. So we are contracting into a symmetrical triangle break to the upside. It should be. So it looks good. But I'm just going to sit on the sidelines for the minute. With position trading, we can enter in just a few minutes before the New Zealand dollar news, given there is mean reversion conditions. You can do if you want to. I would enter on a signal though. Don't just get in, because why are you getting in? What's your reason for getting in, and which direction are you going? If you're not in any New Zealand trades at the moment, I wouldn't get into any. Because basically what you're saying to me is I'm going to trade the news. News trading's dangerous. Who's taught you not to trade before the news? You should trade before the news. Well, I mean, don't. It's up to you what you want to do, right? So, for example, here, pound New Zealand. It's a really good mean reversion opportunity. Extended on the 4 hour, extended on the hourly, pushing, not had a profit take move, nice propulsion gap, short. Yeah. So if you're getting short on the next reversal alert, that's fine. But obviously bear in mind there's news tomorrow and that might pop. But I wouldn't just wait until a couple of minutes before the news to jump in on a short on that. Because all you're doing basically is you're flipping a coin and hoping the news goes your way, aren't you? That's gambling. As long as you can get out of it, you gamble, then that's fine. But that's just... I wouldn't just jump in for jumping in's sake. Wait until you get a signal to go long or short. But it's very nicely extended, this one, for example, at the moment. So if you look at all the New Zealand pairs, New Zealand CAD is completely sideways. There's absolutely nothing there that says long or short. ECB's Lagarde, I intend to raise rates by 50 basis points in March. Again, nothing we don't already know. New Zealand dollar Swiss, pulling down very nicely. It's kind of starting to bottom out a little bit, but I don't know. There's nothing really setting up for me. I'm not going to get into a trade in New Zealand dollar because New Zealand dollar news is on. There's nothing setting up. Pound New Zealand is setting up. That I would get into, sure. Euro New Zealand is middle. Aussie New Zealand, that was extended yesterday. So that was your short yesterday. So you should be either out of that now or you're in it in profit. The entry on that was up there. Actually, it was there, wasn't it? Okay, Dow's coming down towards ADR. Philip, Euro US dollar. Right, so Euro US dollar. So massive sell at the moment, Euro US dollar. There's no COT bias that we know of. We don't know what the COT is, obviously, because they haven't released the figures for the last few weeks. Retail sentiment is saying to short at the moment. Fundamentals are mixed. So I would be looking really for shorts on that. It's not really set up at the moment. The last entry you had on the hourly was here. And then previous to that was up there. And there's one there as well. But yeah, I'll be waiting for that 4-hour extension. You had one up at that peak. But yeah, it's I think we're looking at basically a pullback at the minute on this move. So this is only a 38 retracement on this. If you stick a fib on, I don't know what fib that is. I'm nicking off of something else, but I'm nicking it. So yeah, it was 50% retracement actually on the move. So looking for that. But you are trading there, euro US dollar, a long against a long. So the sentiment and everything and fundamentals are bullish euro, as Lagarde has just come out and said. They're going 50 basis point hike. US dollar is bullish as well. So when you're trading a bullish pair against a bullish pair, you tend to get a lot of push and pull and push and pull and push and pull. They both trade in the same session as well. So not the best thing. That's why it's highly illiquid. Yeah, all these, all the majors, they're very highly liquid because you're trading them all in the same session. The biggest currencies trading against each other at the same time. So that's why you get a lot of fairly tight movement and low ADRs because it's hard to move them strongly in one direction or the other because there's so much volume going through it. I'd be looking more on the short side, but I would wait for some kind of extension to the upside. If you trade in M15, you could wait maybe and try and get on an intraday M15 drop. Dow's coming down to target ADR. Pound odd, looking short, looking good. Yeah, so we just had the reverse alert on that this morning there. It's pulled back. That pullback was a bit weird off the news. When we got the news, we got this big spike. So I would class that as a control candle at the moment. So I'd be worried if we broke above that. Dow's coming down. So this is a risk-free trade now. Break even. Yeah, looks good, that pound odd. So with all these pounds off the back of this news, difficult to tell if this is actually a move or not. There's lots of levels on that, but I mean, that's the last high there. Oops. We've got that high there as well. So that's where we found our resistance. Support is potentially going to be at this sort of level here. So the top of this propulsion gap on the 4-hour chart is a safe pullback. And it's either going to now drop or we're going to pull back and pop. Aiming up here. Come on, Dow, get down to target. Don't be annoying. What's a control candle? Right, so a control candle is basically it's part of a weekly strategy that I used to trade basically. So if you look at a weekly chart, when you get a strong move, that's not a very good example actually. Yeah, pound New Zealand is not a bad example actually. So when you get a big move, yeah, where you've got a like this one, for example, but not quite that big. But when you get a large move, so you put a wide ranged candle in. What a control candle is basically that candle becomes what we call the control candle, and until that candle's high or low is broken and held, you basically would sell the highs and buy the lows. Because what tends to happen when you have a big, strong movement and the market cannot follow through the next day. So, for example, here where you have a big, strong push, and then you have a big, strong push, and then you keep pushing, and basically go into a trend for a few days. When the market's unable to do that, the highs and the lows of this candle tend to form the extremes of the range. So as you can see, every time you break down below that candle, we push back up. We try and break it again, we push back up. We try and break it again, we push back up. So then we start to go the other way. We try and break it. And basically, until we close outside of that candle, this is what is classed as the control candle. So on the weekly charts, you would use these basically to find high and low extremes. So it's basically a mean reversion type of strategy. So what we've just had on that pound New Zealand on the 5-minute was a very big, strong push in one direction. It was pound US dollar we were looking at, was it? I could have sworn I just had one where there was it was inside of it. Anyway, but yeah, so that candle there, like I said, with the Dow actually is a good example, isn't it? Yeah, so that's a control candle. So that was the initial cash balance. And I said, I would like to see inside bars and then obviously a nice breakout of that candle. So that is what I class as a control candle. When that breaks, that's where I'm going to go. When that breaks and holds, that's where I'm going to go. So it's a little bit like the opening range breakout strategy. When you get a big, strong move in, what you'll often find is you then get an accumulation inside it because the market is exhausted by that move and it can't really make a move in any direction. So when you get a break and a hold above or below, that shows that there is high intent for buyers or sellers to step in. So it's just like a range, basically. That's really all it is. But it's part of as I say, it's a weekly strategy. So you would look at basically here. I mean, this one here is a good example. Yeah, so the actual control candle here is that one. So we'll just move these lines off. So the actual control candle in this case is this one here. Yeah. So that candle there is your control candle at the moment. And it is still the control candle. Yeah. So what happened was we had a big bear move, which was the control candle. Inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, break. Okay, so that broke that low and held below it. So that is no longer valid. That is now your control candle. The following week, we pushed out the highs, we broke out the lows, and we held. So that is now invalidated, and this becomes your control candle. Yeah. So for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, market has not been able to break out of that weekly range. Yeah. So what you do is, as a mean reversion trader, every time you get to those highs and those lows, you sell. Because the assumption is, and the norm is, that it's really hard to break out of those control candles. So you would buy there, exit sometime in the week, and then we would come down and you would buy outside the range. Yeah. It's kind of what we class as in futures trading as a value area high or value area low. So if you think of a, not a footprint, what am I trying to say? The squiggly lines. My brain is just utter mush at the minute. But if you think of a market profile, yeah, would look something like that at the moment, because that low actually would only go up to there, so be there somewhere. But the vast majority of the volume, actually, this is a B-shape market profile. So it'd be something like that is what you would see. Yeah, so the vast majority of the volume is held in this area here. So this control candle, basically, you would buy, you would buy, you would buy, you would buy, you would sell, you would buy, you would buy, you would buy, you would buy, you would sell now. Yeah. And the last trade you take is a loser. So when you sell and it closes outside, you lost. Now we're breaking to the upside. So you look for longs. That's basically all a control candle is. It's basically a way of establishing a range in a market. But you typically use the weekly, which is why on the sentiment EA, I have last week's high and last week's low. Yeah. Where the hell is last week's low? Last week's low's there. Right, sorry. Oh, that's not drawn properly. Bug. Bug. There we go. Found a bug. So it's not drawing last week's high and low properly for some reason. Why is that not updating? I need to just update that on candle close, don't I? Actually, none of the lines are drawing properly, are they? What? Weird. Where's last week's high gone? Okay. Found a bug. But anyway, this is why this is in development. But yeah, that's why that is on there. That's why I'm interested in that level. Because you will find often when we break outside of last week's low and break back above it, it's because this is forming the current range in the market. So we're interested in those levels. They form. Why is that drawn all the way back there? Let's look at the code and see why that isn't updating. So that only updates on a weekly basis, doesn't it? So that is. Don't know. So yeah, so you know where we are now on this one, for example, look at the reaction you've had there at last week's high, which I'll draw on because it's not done right in this case. But if you look at that reaction, yeah, look, trying really hard to get through that level, bang, 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 hitting it so many times, and all you're getting is limit order triggers. So your institutions, when they are buying and selling large volumes, they will try and add their orders at extremes. So if you've got a large institution that has got a short position on, they will put a large amount of orders at the last week's high so that when price gets to it, their limit orders will trigger and they'll get a better price than entering somewhere mid-range. Equally, if they are long the market, you will find last week's low gets bought up a lot. And that is partly why these control candles exist, yeah? Because it all depends on which direction the market participants with the biggest pockets are. So if they are all short or long, you will find that the lows or the highs will get bought up or sold into. So Dow seems to have run out of steam down there for some reason. So yeah, there you go. That's control candle theory, which is why you sell the highs and buy the lows. Lagarde in 2020, missed it. Sorry, got an alert on my desktop and I didn't have a chance to read it. In 2023, there will be no Eurozone countries in recession. Not according to the IMF. Oh, no, yeah, no, you are right. Yeah, of course you are. Sorry, Lagarde, you know what you're talking about. Yeah, so basically just hammering home the fact that the economy is doing well in Europe. Bullish euro. Brian, fly. What's the fly for? Don't get that one. Freeman, sorry to sidetrack you. How is stochastic RSI as a tool? I've no idea. I've never heard of it. Stochastic RSI. I don't know what that is. Stochastics are a totally different indicator to the RSI. Your bug. Ah, my bug. Got you. All right. It was a fly. You know what I had in my brain? I had fireflies in my brain because I'm playing The Last of Us again. I got the fireflies in my brain and I thought, oh, that's a fly. Is that a firefly? It's not a firefly. Yes, don't know why that's not drawing properly. There's a bug in the matrix. I've got a feeling. No, that's completely ruled out that theory. I was expecting it to be because there was no trade taken. So it's not extending that either, is it? Previous day's high for some reason. I'll have a look through the code. So it's not extending that, and it's overextending last week's high. So that's updating on candle close. So these should all be updating on candle close, basically. I've obviously put those outside of a loop somewhere, which I'll have to track down another time later. So Dow, again, you know, talking about control candles, it's exactly the same as inside bar theory, yeah? So we've got now that down candle. That's pretty much an inside bar. So now we've got an inside bar, followed by an inside bar. That's a new lower low and lower high on that candle, but it's all an inside bar of that. This is still an inside bar. So when this breaks, that shows you which direction is in control. If this breaks to the downside, there's more sellers than buyers. If it breaks to the upside, there's more buyers than sellers. So you go long or short on a break. Or if you are a mean reversion trader, you short the highs and you long the lows. But on M5, I would say, you know, you want to go with the direction of the break. So what's happened is obviously the sellers have taken control of the market after the initial cash balance, driven it south. And now they've run out of sellers. So the buyers are fighting back and taking control. But at the moment, there are no more buyers than sellers because we are not able to make progress to the upside. So there's still a lot of selling pressure in the market. When that breaks, it means buyers have taken control and off we go. Market theory. It's literally every person that sells has to have a buyer on the opposite side. There's 100 of these and 99 of those, we will tick up. And on the next candle, or next tick, if you like, if there's 100 of those and 99 of those, we will tick up. And we will keep doing that until there's 101 of those, and then we will tick down. And then we will tick down. And that's basically all that happens in the market. Every time you hit the buy button, somebody is selling. So break of that low, we should get a little flush down to target. That'll be me out. Let's stick tick strike on, see if we can get some down ticks. Pound New Zealand's getting stuck up there as well. So that bullish move, struggling to get above that high. I'm not surprised, 150 ADR. So reversal off of euro pound is working nicely. It's your M5 alert. Nasdaq's trying to push lower. S&P is pushing lower. Come on. Struggling down here, isn't it? Yeah, this is all drawing properly. Look, why is it not drawing properly on the other platform then? That's all drawn correctly. It's obviously something I've introduced in the last update that I've broken something. Last week's high and last week's low is all correct. This is an older version of the EA running on another VPS. Yeah, that's all updating right. I've obviously broken something in the last update somewhere. Stochastic RSI is a two-line cross giving entry signals on the RSI highs and lows. Don't know. The only thing I know about is a stochastic oscillator. I've built in a stochastic oscillator. Oh, blimey. Default. So that's a stochastic. That's nothing to do with an RSI. It's not called a stochastic RSI. That's called a stochastic indicator. Stochastic oscillator. Nothing to do with RSI. RSI is relative strength index. Totally different indicator. I've never heard of a stochastic RSI. Stochastic RSI is an indicator in technical analysis. Reaches between. That's just a stochastic. I've never heard of that. Records RSI levels for 14 periods. On the 14th period, don't know. Never used that. I haven't got one. Stochastic RSI is a technical indicator used to measure the strength and weakness of the relative strength index. So it's an indicator that measures the strength of an indicator. That sounds overly complicated. You sure this isn't just a stochastic and they call it a stochastic RSI for some reason? I've no idea. Let's have a look at it, shall we? What am I doing? But it's totally different to the stochastic. It hits 100 regularly, doesn't it? So we hit the 20 level there. So it lags the RSI a little bit, but it gives some sellers just starting to come in on the indices. So basically, if you look at where the lines cross here, so on the RSI, we had a signal there on 30. We got extended again there. See, this would have given you a signal there, a signal there, a signal there, a signal there. Again, this is why I don't use stochastic. Stochastic just gives you so many false signals. So it looks like the stochastic RSI does the same thing to me. Obviously, you can change those levels. Yeah, I mean, look at this, the amount of signals you'd have had on this thing. You'd have got a short signal there, which you didn't get on the RSI. You'd have had a short signal there you didn't get on the RSI. Short signal there you didn't get on the RSI. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer. Never heard of it, but it does exist. Overbought, oversold indicator, yeah. Indicator within an indicator. It's still crap. Right, okay. Yeah, don't know. Never seen that before. You'd need to tune it. I don't know how you tune it though, because obviously what do your K and D need to be? I mean, you'd have to tune it. I mean, the trouble is, why do you need an indicator to measure an indicator? So the RSI is measuring the relative strength of the two currency pairs or the commodity or whatever you're trading. So it's showing you the relative strength of the moves. This is measuring the measurement. I don't understand what that would give you, how that would help you at all. There's loads of balls coming in. Time to strike off. It's all bad news. I'm going to stop out break even on this one this afternoon by the looks of things. Not going to get target. Yeah, so I don't know. That doesn't really make sense to me to use an indicator to measure an indicator. They all lag. So what you're doing is you're adding another layer of lag onto a lagging indicator. In theory, aren't you? Which sounds like a bit of a silly thing to do, but I don't know. Like anything, you can always fine tune an indicator to work. So if you get any indicator and change these inputs to, I don't know, 14.5, I don't even know what this does, K and D on that. But you can always fine tune it so that it looks great and gives great signals. So the crossover there to go short was amazing. The crossover there to go short was amazing. The crossover there to go long was all right. Didn't work really. You've had a crossover there to go long. You're in drawdown. You had a signal long there. That was all right. You had a signal to go short there. That failed. Mind you, that was a signal short down there, so you wouldn't have taken that, would you? I don't know. Go and play with it. If you, like I said, you know, I always say, with any indicator, if it makes logical sense to you, use it. If you can play around with it and you think, wow, this gives me much more signals than the RSI, and they're better entries, then great. But I'd have to say, if you look at it, it's kind of telling you the same thing as the RSI, which you would expect because it's measuring the RSI, isn't it? But you just have to go and backtest these things. The problem I found with a stochastic, and I created a multi-time frame stochastic indicator because I was looking into stochastics in detail. The problem with them is you get too many signals. With a stochastic, it moves too fast, as you can see here. So the signals on the RSI are there. The signals on the stochastic, you get way more signals. That one you got, that one you got, that one you got, and that one. So it's, not a lot in it really, is there? But you're getting on the signal line crossing the other line, wouldn't you? But I mean, again, usually you find when the cross has happened, the move's usually underway. Pound Swiss 175 ADR. Big move. This pound is not stopping today. So if you're in any of these pounds ADRs short, they're all holding up very nicely at the moment. Some of them more than others. Pound CAD, big strong push. Sorry for the hostility. I lost a lot of money following that indie years ago. Brought back some inner emotions. Yeah, it's I don't know. All indicators lag. That's the thing you got to understand. All indicators lag the market. Every indicator, even the market reverse alerts indicator, it told you to go short there. Yeah, you missed all that. You will. You missed all that on that long. You're always going to get in late with any indicator. The key is to try and just find some indicators that work well together and form your strategy off of that, which is why I use the RSI. The RSI's job is literally to tell me when the market is extended. It's not telling me to get in. It's just saying, here, have a look at the market. And then when I get some strength in the opposite direction, if I like the look of it because we've got a resistance level, then get in. Yeah, but I'm not getting in because of that. That's not the reason for entering. That is the condition of the market at the time I enter. The reason for getting into a short would be we've had a reversal alert, which means there's bears entering the market, and we're at a level that makes logical sense to do so, which would be a resistance. So you need a confluence of multiple things to tell you to get into the market. And even then, look, market goes where the market goes, does what it wants. So this is a lot of weakness coming through on the New Zealand potentially as well. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's just going sideways at the moment. The rest of the... Oh, yeah, no, they are all going now, aren't they? Euro CAD 125. So we've got a lot of movement on the euro as well. That's off Lagarde. Lagarde's just pumped the market, basically. Canadian dollar is weak. Right, Dow has rejected that level, which is good. So hopefully we'll get a bit more of a push back down again now, second leg. NASDAQ also rejecting that level. So we've got some bears starting to step in. Freeman, sorry for that, Brian. I just came across it, wanted to hear your thoughts. It's funny how an indicator can stir emotions, isn't it? But a lot of people look at the market reverse alerts and they're going, oh, I tried that thing once. I took every sink and I lost loads of money. You didn't watch the video, did you? MPA. In my MetaTrader history, all numbers are in red. How do I make it blue? Which numbers? In your history, all your numbers are red. How do you make it blue? I have no idea. I don't even know what that means. All part of the discovery process. Yeah. You got to try everything. Try everything. Literally, you have to try everything. Find out what works for you. What works for one person won't work for another. So we've got one of two things playing out here. Either a pullback short or we're going to form a W long. Hopefully it's the former. We're going short. So the Dow basically has just taken out this level, which is the recent lows. That's obviously where I'm aiming for. But we've been in an accumulation on this for quite a while now. We haven't managed to break that high. So we were looking basically to see if we are going back into a bear market, a bull market. Because obviously we broke that high. And the obvious thing to do now was to pull back and carry on our bull market. But we haven't managed to. We've really got stuck here. The market's not made any progress. So this is a good sign that we may be falling back into that bear market and starting a new leg down. The Dow is the only one which has really made good market structure back to the upside. If you look at the others, the NASDAQ, for example, we are very much still in a bear market on this. Yeah, pull back, short. Same with the S&P. Yeah, we haven't managed to crack that high. So when you look at the Dow, that did manage to crack that high. But when we hit it, we couldn't make it any further. So we've just been contracting sideways. This is the first proper down move we've had, indicating US dollar strength for probably a couple of weeks now, I would say. What are we, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm going back to 26th of January. So pretty much a month, isn't it? So if we can hold this low today. So yeah, this is a good one to look at the weekly control candle on. There we go. Perfect. Look at this for an example of a weekly control candle. So going back, right, we are sitting inside this weekly control candle at the moment, but it's absolutely massive, isn't it? So if you're going to trade that on a weekly basis, you're going to get one entry and you're going to be in it for ages. So looking at the actual big move we had to the downside as that one, we got an inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, pushed out the highs, short. Yeah. So we're stuck inside this range, which is stuck inside of this range, which means what? We're contracting in a symmetrical triangle pattern. And that will break out, in theory, on a weekly basis. That should be a breakout to the upside. But these will break out in either direction. But if you look at this for the last sort of, 5 weeks. Yeah, last 4 weeks, we're coming down to the lows. Last 5 weeks, we're still within this range. So the Dow has just not managed to get anywhere. Very similar to the DAX. The DAX also broke out of that high considerably. And we're coming back almost to all-time highs. The FTSE made all-time highs. I haven't got the FTSE on here. But that has actually broken all the way back up now. So European markets full on bull at the moment, but all the US markets still struggling. So this could be a big day today for the Dow if it can hold this low. Freeman here, learning a lot and in the process of undoing all your bad habits. Yeah, that takes a while. The biggest habit you need to undo is the system hopping one. That's the one that kills everybody. Oh, I see what you mean, MPA. All your MetaTrader history numbers are red because you keep taking losses. Right, well, there's an easy way to stop that. You know what the answer is. Go and watch the bootcamp. You know why you're taking losses. If you don't know why you're taking losses, go and watch the bootcamp and you'll find out why you're taking losses. It's easy to stop. Very easy. Stop. Stopping out. And you will stop losing. So we got new lower high, lower low formation. Bears are taking control. Want to see that low break. If that low breaks, we should get in a run down to ADR, and then I'll be out and be done. I'm just going to drag my stops down on this. Just locking in some profit, basically. God, what the hell's going on? This is lagging today. Wow, that was a long execution. So I'm locking into 0.25%, $250. This Euro CAD looks pretty good as well. If we're going to get strength on the US, depending on obviously what's said in FOMC tomorrow, that will power up the Canadian dollar, which will probably drive down the euro as well. So there's potential for a short opportunity coming up there if we don't make a new high. But probably better taking something like Aussie CAD at the moment, or I would say pound CAD, but pound is absolutely flying at the minute. Really like those PMI figures this morning. I'm very surprised actually that the market's reacting quite so strongly to that PMI, the pound. I was expecting that to drop this afternoon, but we didn't get it. Dow's coming down again. Nasdaq stalling out of the lows at the minute. So if the Nas can break this low here, we should get a decent pop down, at least to challenge the lows on the Dow as well. Stalling. Right. I'm just going to stick a 55-point trailer on this. £175 New Zealand. Jeez, this thing's on a mission today. So basically, I'm just going to trail this down to that TP, down to ADR. So I'm either going to get taken out on the trailer, which is 55 points, which is pretty much that distance there, or we'll go down and I'll get the target today. So that's all I'm going to do with that this afternoon. Just let that run. That's about it, really. Anybody got anything else they want to look at before I disappear? Or anything else I want to discuss? I need to go and find out how I've broken my EA. I'm very confused as to why this is doing that. Not even drawing last week's high, is it? Oh, that's because we're above last week's high. Oh, I wonder if I've got it. Have I changed this? I think I've changed this. Basically, because the market is short on this, we're only looking for longs. So I'm only interested in taking yesterday's low, previous day's low, or last week's low. We're above last week's high, so we don't draw that. So what that means is if we have got no bias either way, it won't update those lines. I know exactly what it is. I'll go and fix that right now. Oh, my brain. This is why I have to forward test stuff when you're developing it, because it's all right in theory when you put it in a strategy tester, but as soon as you start running things live, it all goes wrong. Right, I'm going to leave it there for today. So I'm just going to run this dial down. Be careful with these ADRs on the pound. This is a lot stronger than I was expecting it to be, this pound today. However, saying that, obviously, if you're looking at the hourly RSIs, if you look at the RSI dashboard, we are massively extended on everything and we're still pushing. So if we start getting above 80s on these, we're definitely going to be looking at a pullback. So today we're 175 ADR all the way up parabolic. So we're going to get a pullback on this. The pullback could be all the way down to yesterday's high. So there's a fair old whack to drop on this. I can't see this pound sustaining this strength. It's not that strong. The PMI figures on their own do not make the pound strong. There's something else going on here. I don't know why this is so strong. It shouldn't be this strong just off of a single news event. So maybe they're reaching for something and they're just looking for liquidity, which is fine. If that is the case, obviously, we want to be in and mean reverting. So there you go. You've got 4-hour RSI extension there. Oh, sorry, that's an hourly RSI extension for New Zealand. So we're back up to 80 now, almost 77. So massive extension on that pound New Zealand. See if we've got any divergence as well. Yeah, we've got divergence also on this. Yeah, bearish divergence. So this move here is not on strength, it's on light liquidity. So looks good for a short. Definitely looks good, but it's trying to find where to short that. We're now up in the gods and there's nowhere. We have to go all the way out to H4 really to find a new level on this now. Yeah, so we've breached all resistances so far now. So the next resistance you're coming across is there, which is actually pretty good. If you scroll in and have a look. This level here is actually a pretty good previous support. Finally slammed through it. Lovely resistance. Never touched it again. So this 195 level looks like a good resistance, which we're approaching now, which is 200 ADR. So if this hits 200 ADR, to be honest, I would forget the reversal alert and just literally get in on the next bearish candle. If we get 200 ADR on this, there's going to be limits potentially sitting at that level. It's absolutely exhausted. Take a short. If you're already in it, take a second entry. It looks like it disappears when you cross. What? Am I miles behind on the conversation? Anyway, right. I'll leave that one there. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50, same time. We'll go through the markets, have a look at what's changed. We'll have a look at obviously what's happened with New Zealand dollar overnight. and the Aussie dollar as well. We've got the wage price index tomorrow as well. That's not particularly impacttive. It's nothing to do with unemployment. It's just whether or not wages are going in line with inflation. We know they're not. So that's not really going to be any surprises, but that will be. So there's potential for big moves there. The weekly highs on the EA. Yeah, I know what that is now. I know what it is. I'm just trying to work out whether I've done it by design or whether it's actually an issue. Because it's basically, I'm not interested in the calculations when there's no sentiment extremes. So I've got a feeling the way I've built it is like, if there's no sentiment extremes, just sit there and wait until there is. And therefore it's obviously not drawing correctly because it's going, all right, I'm waiting. So I need to kind of update it so that it draws properly all the time. But I'm not sure if, I don't know. I'll play with it. Anyway, so yeah, watch all this tomorrow morning. We'll go through all this in the morning and have a look at what impact that is potentially having. We've also got the G20 starting tomorrow. There is potential for the G20 to start talking about supplying more arms to Russia. They're going to be, it's top of the agenda for the G20 meetings is supplying to Russia, supplying to Ukraine. It's top of the G20 meetings. Thanks for the follow. Cute Wambu 3. Good name. So yeah, that's top of the agenda tomorrow for the G20. So there's a potential for that to upset Putin when news starts coming out of that. So yeah, there's a potential for bombs to be dropped verbally in the G20 meetings, which could potentially upset Russia. And if Russia comes out with some statement, that will upset the indices. So we're going to a fear mode, and obviously the indices will start to drop dramatically. So whenever there's anything negative said from Russia, we get a very large drop in indexes. So we've got that for the next 3 days as well, which could happen at any time. But FOMC's tomorrow as well. So, all right, so I'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll talk about that and have a look at the New Zealand. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be in the Telegram group. Yeah, and go and watch the Bootcamp, Philip. It's all on the website under there, Position Trading Bootcamp. Go and watch that. If you want to find out why your P&L's red, watch all that lot. That'll explain it. Yeah, and then we'll have a look at tomorrow. Dow's coming down nicely as well. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Keep going. All right, have a good one. I will see you in the morning.